Hey, it's Matt the old Florida boy. Haven't been out in a while because it's been raining for the last two and a half weeks, and now there's a tropical storm out in the Gulf. So I'm going to talk about some hurricane preparations today. I sold my old generator that wouldn't power my RV because it was only 20 amps, and I upgraded to one of these. That's right, I upgraded to the Harbor Freight Predator 3500 watt inverter generator, and it is particularly awesome. But I want to go over a few tips and tricks with you today. If you're thinking about getting one of these generators, you definitely ought to do it. But when you get one, there's some things that you really need to know. So I'm going to get right into some tips and tricks. So stay with me. All right, tip number one, and this is a huge tip. Try to use only non-ethanol gas, ethanol-free gas. If you can find it around your area, it's really important. The small engines in these and basically anything, chainsaws or lawnmowers or anything, are really sensitive to ethanol and gas. Luckily, down the street at the Wawa, they got ethanol-free gas at my Wawa. So it's a little bit more expensive, but it's really worth it. It'll make the engine run really smooth, and it'll really extend the longevity of your engine. And also, even if you're using ethanol-free gas, always remember to use some additive like Sta-Bil, because even ethanol-free gas, if you leave it in the carburetor long enough, it's gonna gunk up on you. So tip number one, use ethanol-free gas and fuel additive. Tip number two, if you're going to use this generator for RV use, which this is going to be virtually all that I'm going to use this generator for, it comes with a nice RV plug. However, when you do this, and when you plug this plug in, you plug in your 30 amp plug, and it twists clockwise to lock. Well, the plug is oriented so that the cord to plug in your 30 amp service is like this. So the weight of the plug and the weight of the power cord wants to turn it and unlock it. So you got to drape your power cord over the generator to hold it, and it just doesn't really work too well. So what I did is I took this faceplate off, which comes off with 7 screws, 6 screws here and one screw here, and it just comes right out. And what I did is I took this plug and I rotated it 180 degrees. So now, when I plug in my RV and I lock it, turn it clockwise to lock, now when I plug in my RV plug, it goes like that. So the weight of the plug keeps it locked. It's turning it clockwise instead of counterclockwise. I don't know why Harbor Freight doesn't change this, because it's an easy fix. It doesn't void the warranty. You take out 2 screws, turn it around, and put it right back in. So that's tip number 2. All right, tip number 3, use this thing on level ground. It's got dumpy little wheels that are made out of plastic, and they rattle. So the way this generator's sitting now, it's not level. And if you run it like this, it is gonna shake to death. But if I push it just a little farther, now I've got a good level spot, and all the wheels are contacting, and it's solid as a rock. Also remember to lock the wheels. Now this sucker is on solid ground and the wheels are locked, and when I start that up, it's not going to rattle at all. So that's tip number 3, level ground. Tip number 4, cover your outlets. Let me zoom in a little bit. Basically, the generator has 4 outlets. On the left side, you can see the 30 amp RV plug. We got our 2 110s over here, and we got a 12 volt plug over there. I don't really use a 12 volt plug for anything, and I'm not going to use the 110s for anything either. I'm going to use the 30 amp RV plug to power my RV. So what I did is I want to keep these outlets covered because this engine draws air like really, really hard from the underside where the air intake is. And some people have reported surging and everything else, and they've changed the oil-filled door to a vented one. Well, I don't know whether that's the greatest idea or not, but you can actually feel when this generator is running, air is being drawn through these outlets. So what I recommend doing is just cover the 12 volt with a piece of tape like I did, and using a couple of these little plastic outlet covers, and cover your outlets. Now the RV is going to be plugged into here, so that's not going to be a consideration. But now I have my 110 outlets covered, and I have my 12 volt outlet taped over, and the RV is going to be plugged into 30 amp. Now no air is going to be drawn through the plugs, and there's not going to get any dirt or anything else through there and into the engine. So tip number 4, cover your outlets. Tip number 5, if you want this thing to run smoothly, always run it with a load connected to it. Now, I've got just a little space heater connected there, and I got my RV plugged in so that no air can get in that. I have my other 110 outlet capped with one of those clear protectors, and I've got tape over my 12 volt outlet. And now I'm going to start it up, and you're going to hear it surging and missing a little bit. So listen to this. Very quiet. That's just vibrating because it's a running engine. But you can hear it going da 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 da, and a lot of people get really pissed off about that. But watch it, and this is with the eco throttle off, by the way. This is wide open. So eco throttle's off. Now I'm going to put a 30% load on it because I'm going to turn the space heater on low and listen to how smooth it goes. There's a 30% load, and it's smooth right out. So a generator is meant to be run with a load on it. You know, why else do you buy a generator? You buy it to run electrical stuff. You don't buy it to sit there and idle all the time. So this one kind of misses a little bit. And I'm even going to turn the eco throttle on and the throttle down just a little bit. But that's as loud as it gets. This one misses a little bit, but as soon as you put even the lightest load on it, smooths right up, and this baby is purring like a little kitten right now. So tip number 5, always run it with a load. Okay, so there's just a few tips and tricks to make your Harbor Freight generator experience much better. I only got about 3 hours on mine, and it'll probably smooth out once I get up to the 8-hour point. I'll change the oil, and then I get up to the 25-hour point, and then I'll really put some loads on it. I already know that it'll run the RV with the 15K air conditioning unit perfectly, no problem there at all. But it'll probably smooth up a little bit. But there's just some tips and tricks to make your Harbor Freight generator experience more positive. So once again, in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see some suggested videos. In the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see my subscription bubble. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And once again, this is Matt, the old Florida boy, saying, let's get prepared for hurricanes. I will see you on the trail.